Okay, the landscape of American real estate is changing, and sellers are outnumbering buyers by far. A brand new Redfin report estimates that there are roughly 500,000 more sellers than there are people looking to buy, and expects prices to drop by about 1% by the end of the year. Joining me now is real estate analyst and founder of Sykes Properties, Erin Sykes. Erin, good morning to you. What kind of negotiating power does this give the buyers now, in your eyes?
Yeah, so finally, buyers have an opportunity to really go in and make deals and feel like they're winning their, number one prize, their home. And unfortunately, I think that our market has been propped up on a house of cards, not just in the last few months, but for the last couple years. And I've been opining about how it hasn't really been an inventory shortage. It's been more of a mismatch of what buyers want versus what's available. But now things are becoming more available across the board. So you don't just have that option for a condo. Now you might actually be able to get the single family home that you've been looking for. However, it's super important as a buyer to not take, what's on MLS or Zillow or Redfin as Bible, because unfortunately what people have been doing is using comps from the last 6 months to a year and a half. They still want those 2022 prices. And that's where they're listed. You really need to take today's perspective and shop around, go to all the open houses, see a lot of properties, and then make an offer based on today, what's available immediately, and negotiate.
Yeah, and then adversely, your tips for sellers this morning, how much should they be willing to budge on price right now to appeal to the far fewer buyers who are out there?
Yeah, so it really depends on your market, because real estate is many micro markets, not just one. However, generally speaking, you can take about 5% off asking price right now, with the exception of there are a couple particular pockets, Monmouth County, New Jersey, and parts of Long Island. We're actually still in bidding wars in those areas, and that's because they're easily commutable to New York, less than 45 minutes, and you can get a single family home under $1 million. But that's not the vast majority of the United States. In parts of Florida, we noted 6 out of the 10 slowest housing markets are in Florida right now. There, you can look to take at least 10% off asking price.
Wow. And two, just before I let you go, you and I touched right off the top. We've been talking about a seller's market for quite some time, the pendulum now in the other direction. How long do you expect this to last, do you think?
Right now it's the foreseeable future. I actually think the market is worse than is being reported, and that's because our data typically lags a few months. And as boots on the ground agents, we saw this pullback at least 6 to 8 months ago, and that's not fully being reported in the data. And Redfin is saying that we're going to see a depreciation of about 1% this year in home prices. I personally think it's going to be closer to 5% based on what we're seeing in actual transactions. So it's going to get worse before it gets better, but that's why buyers should take advantage and make a move now.
Yeah, and do a lot of shopping around and compare and contrast. Erin Sykes, thank you so much for joining me, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Okay.